Sit back, relax, and enjoy, folks. It's Invisible Walls, episode 158, right here on GameTrailers.com. I'm Shane Satterfield, your humble host of the show. Have a good crew of people here today and a lot of topics to get through. And best of all, we are doing On the Hook today. We have questions from you guys we're going to answer. E3 right around the corner. In fact, it's only about 4 weeks away at this point. Unfortunately, we still can't tell you guys everything we're doing. We're still working on locking some stuff down. But trust me when I tell you, we are going big at E3 2011. Here to talk to you today about all the biggest topics in gaming. Marcus, beer.
Well, I can tell you what I'm doing. I'm getting drunk at E3.
Lucky you. And we'll see about that. Ryan Stevens is here this week.
I plan on not sleeping during E3.
Here. Mike Damiani is in the house.
Hey, y'all.
And Brooks Huber sitting in today.
Yeah, we always go big at E3. That's not new.
We also never
bigger.
sleep at E3. That's when Marcus is glad to not be a part of the regular team here at GT.
Yeah, you drink after E3.
I drink during.
In fact, I usually go to Vegas right after E3 to blow off steam. So anyway, we got a lot to get to on the show this week. Let's do it.
By Odin's foul treachery, we were imprisoned. But now, to vengeance, to Asgard. Odin, we come for you. What have I done?
Beep, 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 beep.
That's right, folks. Here we are, Invisible Walls News Update, episode 158.
Can we get a graphic for that? Invisible Walls News.
I just picture
awesome.
Guy Smiley from Sesame Street or something.
All the news that only we care about.
With your newscaster, Chet Fantastic.
That's right, gentlemen. We have some big stories today on the video game front. Actually, they're not all that big. They're kind of small, which is why we've jammed them all together into one little segment. First big news that was announced today, the Nintendo Wii price dropped down to $149.
And they swapped the pack-in game.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's a little more interesting to me, but because it's a $20 price drop, $30 price drop?
Yeah, down to $149. They took out Wii Sports / Wii Sports Resort and put Mario Kart in there. Now they included a wheel as well.
Yeah, there's a wheel packed in as well.
And they put out a black wheel, right, to match your black wheel.
Yeah, you can get it in white or black now. So, but it's interesting to see Wii Sports is now sold standalone
For $20.
For $20. Let's see who buys that when it's standalone.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Maniacal laughter.
What do you think the strategy was behind them changing the pack-in? Do you think that they feel like they've got all the casual players to buy the Wii already, and now they're trying to reach out to more of the core players?
I mean, honestly, Wii Sports was a good way to show off the system back in 2006. But aside from Wii Play, Mario Kart is the best selling and probably the most popular game that they have on that system. So I mean, it's their recognizable brand, Mario. So I think they just put that together with it and think that's going to appeal. I think it's going to appeal to some people the few people who don't have a Wii, and maybe they didn't care about like Wii Sports or any of that. They're like, maybe I'll go pick it up now, or maybe you have a multiple kid family. Like I'll get my other kid one too because it's so cheap now, and they like Mario Kart.
Why not the first Super Mario Galaxy? Game didn't sell as well as it probably should have.
Doesn't have the appeal as Mario
Kart's
Kart.
a Mario game.
Mario's multiplayer.
But
as well.
single player.
I mean, Mario Kart sold, but then I would just flip it back again and go, why not Super Mario Brothers Wii? I mean, that one seemed
because it
make
sold
the
through the
most
roof.
sense.
New Super Mario Brothers Wii sold oodles of copies. People have that already. I'm thinking, why wouldn't they put a game in there that maybe didn't sell as well as they had anticipated?
Maybe it's not strong. They don't think it's strong enough. I don't know.
The
I mean,
game's amazing.
And
Maybe they think they've sold enough Mario Karts and they're not going to sell anymore, so they've got some leftovers.
Maybe the big question is they have a warehouse somewhere full of Mario Kart. My thing is the price drop. It's like they keep going in these small increments. Like they need to get that machine to $99, especially with them announcing the new machine in 4 weeks.
That'd be pretty unprecedented, though. I mean, this early into the life cycle. I mean, it's not like there's anything has rhyme or reason anymore.
PS2
But
it's early.
Why would they
Not
want to
to
drop it to
$99
$99 this year when they can squeeze another holiday
it was
season out of it at
$129
$150?
But their sales are really starting to plummet at this point for the Wii. I mean, obviously that's why they've dropped the price, but you're not going to hit the mass market with that until it's $99. Nintendo probably would still turn a profit on that machine at $99.
I mean, maybe this small drop will give them the bump they need, and then when it dips down again, that's when they push the panic button and go to like 120, and then maybe they're going to do it in increments, to keep the system afloat till whenever the hell the next system comes out. But
Yep. Story number 2. So PSN still down. How many
Amazing.
days now has this been?
347.
I'm going on a hunger
No,
strike.
seriously, it's been
until
what,
it
like
comes back.
10 days?
Jimmy Carter's gonna get
Happened
involved.
like not last Thursday, but a week from last Thursday. So
It's been a couple weeks.
It's been a
yeah,
couple
it's coming
weeks.
up on almost 2 weeks, I think. Yeah,
That
It was
is
the
brutal.
It was the day after
Tomorrow.
El Shaddai's demo got released in Japan. That's how we judge all time here
Yeah.
at Game Trailers.
So, the real news here is that SOE, Sony Online Entertainment, was also hacked, and they didn't even realize it until a couple
This
days
week,
ago.
Yeah, this week.
Well, they did say the ones from SOE were only credit cards from 2007 or earlier, and it was non-U.S. It was like European territories.
So chances are those cards have been
Yeah.
canceled or they're no longer active. Not as big a deal as PSN, obviously. Still kind of sad that Sony didn't realize it had been hacked until a week and a half
and-
after
kind
it
of
And the other
embarrassing,
question
yeah.
is there any correlation between this hack and the PSN hack?
I mean, we don't know.
I know, but
I would
that's-
venture to guess there probably is.
It's interesting.
I mean, it's a little too convenient that they happen at the same time.
Do you think they had the same security protocols?
Probably, yeah. They probably had the same across the board, I'm guessing, which they're probably going to have to fix that one as well. And then, of course, Sony in Japan made their formal apology to the media where they did the bow.
Did they chop the finger off and
No,
wrap it
they
up?
just bowed. I think they said it was like 7 seconds or something like that, which... It's
That's how long
funny.
you have to write a bull for.
Well, it's funny. They measure how sort of remorseful a businessman is by how long he bows. There have been bows from Toyota and Honda that have lasted like up to like 30 minutes before when they've made huge mistakes. So, and then sometimes they may get on their hands and knees. It's obviously a big cultural difference from what we do here. But yeah, Sony did bow to the media in saying that they're sorry for what's happened.
Yeah, if this was if Sony were actually a full-on American company, they'd probably get a government bailout.
Yeah. Well, apparently, isn't the U.S. government investigating?
The US, the UK, the Canadian government is also investigating, and it was announced this morning, Wednesday, that some gamer lady out of Canada is launching a class action suit against Sony for $1 billion. I kid you not, $1 billion, because to cover the
Because they took away a
stress
service
caused-
that was free.
Well, to cover the stress caused by losing credit cards, and and Sony have said that if there are costs incurred, that they're prepared to meet them, and there's also the banks have been saying if anybody credit card gets hacked, they should be covered. So it's just it's a very very it's a PR disaster for Sony when you're continually on even the local news here in LA who don't know their assholes from their elbows when it comes to games, when they're talking about Sony.
I think the blow is softened a little bit by the fact that it is free. If this were Xbox Live, I would probably be a lot more pissed off than I am right now.
So should PSN Plus members be really pissed off?
Yeah, they should. They're paying for that service. But didn't Sony say that they're going to give them credits for every day that they've lost in the service?
Isn't it like everyone getting a free month or
Everyone
something?
gets a free month. And
Of
then
Plus?
Of Plus. Or all the paid services. So that includes Plus. And then the PSN Plus members get every day that it's been down on top of that. So.
Oh, cool.
And
I'm
then
going to come
there's-
out on top.
And there's some free gift everyone's getting, apparently, but they haven't named what it is. So everyone prepare for
It's a
flour.
PSP Go. Because they have those in a landfill in Vegas next to the ET cartridges that Atari dumped.
Or a free credit report, although they say you get your first one free.
.com.
So the final story in our news roundup is the delay of Mass Effect 3. Anyone surprised by this, really?
Not overly
No.
surprised.
Yeah.
A little sad though. I mean,
Yeah,
it
sucks.
it was the one. There are a lot of great games coming out this fall, but this was the one that I knew I would get and I would play for 80 hours over the Christmas period.
Yeah, it's one of
And-
those games that'll keep you
Yeah.
nice and warm over the winter break.
Well, that's the thing. Now I have to talk to people over Christmas.
I'm so sorry.
Family.
So it's been
Man.
delayed to Q1 2012. Not a huge delay, just a few months.
It just makes it a 2-year gap between Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3, so
Yeah. Probably better for the game in the long run.
it makes it easier on us for our Game of the Year nominations.
Yeah, it also makes it easier on them to actually get the game done and have it be up to the quality standards that they expect and we expect.
You got to wonder if they're throwing any of the Mass Effect team at the Old Republic, though.
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, it might be a little too late for that.
I'm just curious about any last minute crazy pushes.
Yeah.
Maybe their Kanban Jira tickets are coming in and they need to.
Inside joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it for the news roundup on GameTrailers.com.
Then I bring Thor back to face the wrath of Asgard, while you, Lord Hewlett, will at long last leave this swamp-ridden prison and return home to Nornheim.
Agreed.
All right, so next we're going to talk about Mizuguchi-san's spiritual successor to Rez, In fact, Ryan right now is wearing his old school Rez t-shirt. Ryan,
Yes,
you
I
are one
am.
of the biggest fans of Rez I've ever met.
I love music games, but I have no rhythm. So when there's music games that don't involve rhythm, I'm very, very happy to play them.
So does Child of Eden have any rhythm-related
They have added
elements?
rhythm. For super quick summary, it's basically an on-rail shooter with a lot of like interactive music elements. When you fire your guns, you hear some drum beats. When you hit things, there's kind of a crescendo of like how things explode and whatnot, and it kind of will slide things over so it kind of matches the beat. So you're kind of adding to the song. But it's more of a reflex thing. The rhythm element added this time around, though, is your lock-on shot, which is going to be familiar to anyone who played Rez. If you have a full, if you can hold all 8, and if you let go of those, like basically heat-seeking missiles or whatever, seeking missiles on the beat, you get a score multiplier. And as long as you're always shooting 8, you'll keep your multiplier alive, but to grow it, you have to keep releasing on the beat.
See, I love that. That's the one thing I didn't like about the first Rez. What is it didn't matter if you played the game to the beat.
What I thought was one of the problems with Rez is that the last level in Rez is amazing, and it was a little obtuse on how to unlock it. You have to hack all the little, not hack, but there's these little boxes that you have to do the kind of unlock depths of the song, and you have to unlock every single one of those to get to the last level. And in the preview copy they gave us of Child of Eden, I'll already say the levels have a much different look in between each levels, but they have kept the last level locked from us. So still some excitement there. And I'm not even sure if that is the last level, but it's the last one they're letting us know. But the levels are pretty varied. There's lots more like mini bosses instead of the kind of just go through the layers and then there's a boss at the end and stuff like that. I played the majority of it on the controller. I know this game's been really hyped for Kinect, and I'll let everyone know you can play it fine on the controller. It's pretty cool. The other big element that they switched, yes, I played it on the Kinect, and I think I threw out my arm, but that's
Now, the other part of it too is
that's because I'm a spaz, which I don't think I'm allowed to say in the UK. But it's okay to
You're
say in
allowed
the
to
US.
say spaz?
Okay, I thought they always like made people take that away. But
Well, no,
The other thing too that I noticed is that the score thresholds you need to get to move on, if you play it with Kinect, those scores are much lower. Mm-hmm. So you actually have to get higher scores if you use a controller versus if you use Kinect. Why do you think they've done that?
Well, from what I've played with the Kinect versus the controller, the difficulty is the same, and it is not as quick when you're using your hands. So I think that's how they're doing the balance through a score balancing. You still have the same amount of things trying to end your life. So it's an interesting take to kind of balance stuff, because your scores actually affect how you unlock the levels. So scoring and rhythm is going to be important. The way they delivered the game to us had things already unlocked, so it's kind of hard for me to get a real feel about how important rhythm is, which is kind of interesting. But game's cool. It isn't 100% like Rez. Like I said, the little difference is you have 2 types of guns this time around, the lock-on and this tracer weapon for shooting down projectiles and purple enemies, because purple needs to be rapidly
HD.
shot upon.
Now, would you say the game is structured the same as Rez? Is it the same length as Rez?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it seems a little bit longer. It's asking you for a little more replayability for the score element. I'm making some assumptions here. There's this element too of, again, everything was unlocked, so we couldn't really explore it as much, where the menu system has this kind of hub interactive feel, where it's this garden where you can unlock things and evolve them, so the garden becomes more of a toy as you play with it. So there's that kind of extension to it as well. But with everything unlocked, it's kind of hard to get a feel for how that's going to actually play out, because now I can just go in there and mess around with everything.
Happy with it so far?
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge Rez fan. Rez definitely has this kind of legacy of being a critical darling that sold a pittance in the US. Then when it was released on Xbox Live, it was like top of the charts. However you read those charts, I'm not quite sure.
Is Rez still worth money?
No, because that weird company called... They're in Kensha Hall during E3. I can't remember what they're called. They reprint games like... what's that World War II Japanese RPG? Shadow Hearts? No.
Vandal Hearts?
No, it's not Vandal Hearts, but they reprint Game Quest Ltd or something. They reprinted a bunch of it, so it kind of liquidated the market a little bit.
So even if you have the original pressing, it's still not worth cash?
It may be. It's really hard to tell the difference, I believe, between the two, if it is even possible, because they'll just sub-license these games and reprint them. But I think it's one to watch. It's a serious Kinect game for people who are curious for that, and it plays well with the controller. I think some people may think it's like I said, it may seem a little short to people, but there's a lot of replayability there. I mean, even the first time through the game, just trying to discerning what you should shoot and what's the background.
Yeah, that's one of the toughest parts of playing Res.
I mean, it's a pretty game, but it's an abstracted game. So I do kind of miss the on-screen presence of you as an avatar. It's all first person now because I liked the evolution stance. I liked being like the star baby and shit like that because I'm kind of a star baby.
Thor, I got here as fast as I could. What was it?
Well, it was large.
All right, so next we're going to talk about a game that I don't really know why we're talking about it. I think it's one of those games where everyone's assumptions are probably pretty accurate, but we're still going to give Mike Damiani a chance to talk about Thor.
But the reason we're talking about Thor,
I think he was press ganged into this, by the way. It's not
that,
like
that Damiani came on to talk about this because this is part of my mission. After the goodness of Batman Arkham Asylum, I am determined that Marvel Studios, and we know some people who work at Marvel.
We do.
They're good guys. Hopefully one of them's listening right now.
Real good guys.
They take the fucking games away from Sega. Sega screwed Iron Man 1. They screwed Iron Man 2. There are probably screwing Thor, but Damiani will go and talk about that in a minute. And then there's Captain America this summer.
Captain America looks somewhat decent, though.
I'm sorry, somewhat decent doesn't cut it when you're talking about some of the most
America.
amazing
Here's the problem. Every
literature
game
in
looks
American
somewhat
history.
decent at this point.
No.
I mean, Thor, we just walk by and look at it.
I'm not counting about trailers. I mean, we saw like a gameplay walkthrough, and it was like, oh, this isn't completely atrocious. Like, speaking of Sega games in particular, what was it? Brooks, what was that game? Beast Rider?
Oh,
Golden
yeah,
Axe?
Golden Axe.
I mean, you could watch, I almost vomited at E3 in Sega's booth when they were showing it to me.
I'd rather have played the original Golden Axe than played...
That's not
without a doubt.
Yeah, that's
no
not a
debate
big deal.
there.
Yeah, you're not in the minority there.
I don't know what's up with Sega, whether they're hurting.
Well, the crazy
for
part
cash
was the
right
Iron
now.
Man games sold real well, so I'm sure
people-
Marvel's
They
like,
sold well
oh,
on the PSP.
this must not have been that bad.
But
I think,
they're good,
unfortunately, Marvel, the way it went with the deals on this is that Marvel signed off a lot of their properties early in the cycle. Iron Man then became a huge smash. Sega had the option on Iron Man 2 and probably had the options on the rest of the stuff.
But why the hell was Marvel vs. Capcom so good? And Capcom worked with the Marvel
because
team.
Sega didn't publish it. Sega have a reputation. They're basically a clearinghouse now.
Do you think Marvel should step in and have a firmer?
Marvel should basically Marvel and Disney should step in and say, Sega, go fuck yourselves. We're taking everything back. You guys are assholes. You're making shit games out of our brilliant properties, so we are taking them back. Screw you. Go play with your hedgehog.
Who do you think would be better suited to make those games, Marcus?
Well, unless the guys from Arkham Asylum are available, but Rocksteady's now owned by Warner Brothers.
Right.
Honestly, I think a dyslexic chimp with diarrhea in a toilet somewhere in Brazil would probably stand a better chance of making a game than the stuff Sega's been churning out recently.
Diarrhea
not
is an
cool.
important point.
My cousin has dyslexia.
And I have diarrhea.
And I'm a chimp.
So anyway, Mike, let's talk about Thor.
Oh yeah, Mike's here.
Is it as
Hey.
god awful bad as we're insinuating?
It's pretty bad. It's not quite at the level of Iron Man 2. I actually didn't play the original Iron Man, but Iron Man 2 was pretty brutal. This game, it's just a shameless God of War clone. They're trying to be like that, and it doesn't come anywhere close.
It doesn't seem done to me. There's all kinds of weird graphical anomalies.
Oh yeah, I mean every other level you counter more than 3 enemies and the frame rate just dies in this game. It's like a DVD skipping. That's how bad it gets at points. And I'm just like,
Plus, there aren't really 3 enemies. There are 2, right?
yeah, they don't throw a lot of enemies at you. I mean, in the later levels they do try and throw, but they scale them down. The more enemies there are, the smaller they are. But when you get those big enemies, the ones you really want to fight, there's like 1 or 2 at a time, and it's just. And it's the same 1 or 2 enemies over and over again.
Yeah,
They just
every time I walk by, it's the same 2
it's
guys
like
you're fighting.
ice level, they're blue. Fire level, they're red. And it's like palette swap. Really.
Yeah, I thought
creative
that
there.
died a long time ago.
What was funny to me was that I was watching Damiani play this morning, and Brooks was playing on the system next to him, both capturing video. And Brooks was playing God of War, the
collection,
the remixed PS3 up-res version. And I wanted to watch Thor, so huge comic book fan. I kept on going back, and in the end, I just sat behind Brooks and watched him play God of War because it looked way more fun. And the whimpers of pain coming out of Damiani were just not funny. I felt sorry for him. Who do you piss off this week to get this game? By the way, is Miguel just pissed at you?
I asked him the same thing. Yeah.
He's probably just angry at me for some reason. Probably making fun of his heritage or something. So.
Have you have you guys heard anything about the movie? Have any reviews come out yet for it? And obviously, this is why the game game came out unfinished. The movie launches. Actually, it probably is out today.
Yeah, it's out today. Look, the reviews for the movie are actually pretty damn strong. I mean, they do have a good cast. They do have, it sticks to the mythos of Thor. You have Anthony Hopkins as Odin. You have Kenneth Branagh directing it. I mean, it's not as if they gave this to some, schmuck who directed 2 commercials for tampons.
Or Daredevil.
No Ben Affleck. But no, what I'm hearing, the buzz I'm hearing on the movie is that it is very strong. Will people get the whole Norse mythology thing? Who knows? But I mean, I'm gonna be right in line to watch it tonight, Friday. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna kick bottom.
Now, is the worst part about Thor the fact that it's a long game?
Yeah, I mean, it drags on. It definitely drags on. Whereas Iron Man 2, it puts itself out of its misery in about 2.5, 3 hours. I think I'm 5-6 hours in this game, and I'm still a little ways from the end, supposedly.
So maybe they were onto something with Iron Man 2. They're like, this game is so bad, if we make it any longer, we got problems.
Well, look, this is the issue. Thor, God of Thunder, he's got a great big hammer which he uses to smite things and call down lightning and fly with.
Right.
Mike, can you fly in Thor?
Yeah, you can.
You can glide for 5 seconds, and that's what's baffled me. There are these parts of the game where he goes across a river on a boat. The game doesn't make sense at some parts, and I'm just this is just padding to make the game longer, and it shouldn't be that long.
So there you have it. Brothers and sisters of Invisible Walls, spread the word. Do not allow your friends to get duped into buying Thor.
Go see the film 6 times instead.
I want justice. We'll raise our armies against every Jotun in Niflheim.
To what end? The Jotun are contained on miserable Niflheim. What will war achieve? More death? More misery? What good is that to Asgard?
So how long has it been since we've done On the Hook?
I think it's the first one we've done in 2011.
This whole year?
I think so.
Wow. Well, we are back with a vengeance. We have questions from our users. Marcus, what's the first one?
The first one is, with the advent of Nintendo's new console in 2012, what reactions will Sony and Microsoft make?
Or have?
I'm quoting the question. That's from Mark M., who's one of our Twitterer followers.
Mass Effect, apparently, is his Twitter handle.
Well, I think their response is going to be, we're going to announce a console too.
I don't think so.
No, not right away.
Not at E3.
I still have this gut reaction, this gnawing feeling in my gut that Microsoft have been too quiet. Microsoft don't go. Yes, their system's selling really well. Kinect is selling really well. They can still stand to make lots of money. They don't need to release a new system this year. I'm just wondering if they want to go ahead and get another maybe 1 to 2 year jump on Sony for the PS4, because Sony can't really announce a new console right now. Their console is still kicking ass and holds its. It is the best console out there with regards to its capabilities, in my opinion. But I think Microsoft are going to do something very sneaky at E3 and surprise the shit out of us.
I completely disagree.
Well,
I think we may get by the way, we're working on our
next
machine.
Are we going to get the pre-announcement announcement?
Yeah.
Didn't we see way before the Wii, wasn't there basically a Revolution tiny teaser thing?
Yeah,
the year
the logo and the name.
Yeah.
They should.
Yeah.
It's no system.
I mean, they can do smoke and mirrors easily.
They just want to stay in sort of the mind's eye of players so that they know something's coming, which we all know anyway. Do we really even need it? But it's more for investors and all that garbage.
My question is, do you think Microsoft's going to try to do a handheld? I mean, are they going to go push the Zune? I mean, they're failing. They're failing with music, failing with, what was that thing called? The Kin.
Oh yeah.
They don't. Surface was cool, but who the fuck cares now that everyone has pads?
I think Microsoft have, if they're smart, they've given up on the whole handheld thing. They've got the Windows Phone that runs, some games and apps. Good luck to them on that. But the Xbox and Kinect in particular have really pushed up the profits on their.
Well,
did you
guys
guys
see
Kinect,
that?
I think.
Did you see retailers are getting rid of Xbox hardware stock? Right now on Amazon.
It's a crazy deal. You get $50 credit off of
yeah. So are we going to see an Xbox Slim or
an Xbox
built-in?
with a built-in
can you build
Kinect?
in the Kinect? It needs that
so.
motion to scan the room.
But they may be getting rid of just the standalone machine.
What would they
SKU.
add?
Well, they would probably just make just one SKU with Kinect inside every box, so that they have that built-in install base. I think this E3 for Microsoft's going to be all about Kinect.
Call it the Kinect box.
Any price drops though? I mean, to respond to
That would be
Nintendo.
nice.
I mean,
Dude, I don't even know if Microsoft and Sony at this point even give a crap what Nintendo's doing. I don't know that it has a big bearing on their business overall. They're such different audiences for those machines. I think they've kind of just learned to do their own
Well,
thing.
Nintendo's trying to catch up to them in terms of their HD and like the mature audience. So it's kind of like role
HD
reversal
and high
a little
def,
bit.
but don't expect a decent hard drive in this new machine. Apparently, based on the latest rumors.
Well, they're saying, 8 gigs of storage space in the new Nintendo machine?
And it's all flash drive.
That's
It's
not
all
even
flash
enough for Marcus's
memory.
porn.
I mean, again,
No,
I know,
it's not.
seriously.
again, I don't believe any of this crap that's flying around. I'll believe it when Reggie pulls it out of his pocket on stage. All this crap that's
The
flying around, I don't
Nintendo,
believe any of
whoa.
it. We'll wait and see what they say at their press conference. But if that works you, 8 gigs of storage, it's like, why bother? It was like the last time with the Wii. It's like, why bother if you're going to put that little amount of storage space on your machine? It's like, what's the point? Of course, they'll have people that will say, oh, like SD card. You put 32 gig SD card in it. Who cares? Like, give us a freaking hard drive. Question number 2, Ryan Stevens.
This is from a Twitter follower named MLT Gamer. What is the point behind region restrictions? He is so tired of not being able to get the DLC he wants and craves. I mean, it's the same thing with DVDs back in the day. When the world wasn't such a global village, people didn't want people importing things because it takes out the bottom line from their region. Because you have to realize Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, they each have their little headquarters in New Zealand, Australia, whatever. And even though I think
And they all answer to a separate set of stockholders.
and they all have their own quotas and stuff like that. And even though I personally feel like it's kind of a pittance for imports,
It's such a
the DLC
small
market,
group of people.
The DLC market's maybe a little more about just getting things through regions' own ESRBs and stuff like that. I'm a little more shaky about that, but I mean, yeah, I think we're probably all in agreement that region locking is kind of dumb.
Yeah,
Didn't the 3DS just bring it back for Nintendo
they
handhelds?
have it back.
The DS
again.
didn't have it.
But I mean,
Yeah, so it's a little annoying, especially since in this day and age, you do order things from all around the world.
But it also comes down to censorship as well. For example, there is stuff available in the US that has to be region locked for the US, so you can't import it into Germany or Australia, which have very, very strict. They don't have an 18 rating in Australia yet.
Content
Germany, anything with
sensitivities,
with violence, so they have to region lock the German version. You have to take out the blood. You have to replace it with green goo, and that's a lot of the reasons why. Because
Right.
they can, if they don't region lock and that stuff becomes available in the country, they could be prosecuted.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be very, very wary of that, and it is unfortunate. Yeah, it does suck. I mean,
And with the PS3, you can kind of get around the whole thing by creating an account. I'm not going to get into the details
the system
of it.
is region free already.
Right.
But I mean,
you can access content on PSN from other regions.
There's ways around that. And one more thing on the business end, and Marcus, you might know the most about this, but I read a while ago that not just like the individual companies, but paying for the license to bring it into the territory. You don't want people importing it when you get to spend all that money to license it and spend money on the localization effort. It's not hurting Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. It's hurting the company that's trying to bring the game out here.
Yeah, I mean, you do have a lot of games where developers will sign deals with one company for Asia, one company for Europe, and one company for the US. Those deals are getting less and less. But I know, for example, when I worked at Ignition, we released some titles that were released by SNK in Japan and somebody else in Europe, and that's just again the way it is.
Bottom line, it's a very small group of people, so I don't know that region locking is even relevant in this day and age, but that's why they do it. And for the next question, Brooks Yuba.
All right, Adam Sears asks, why is the industry polarized between the AAA games like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto and the cheap indie games like Angry Birds and Minecraft? What is going on with the mid-tier games becoming extinct due to are the mid-tier games becoming extinct due to a lack of popularity, and what are the possible consequences for this?
Or of this.
Of this, yeah. We need to copy edit our questions before they come in.
No, you just need to learn to read.
Well, that too. He tried
to ad-lib there and got a little twisted up.
Tried to ad-lib a little bit. It didn't work out. No. Mid-tier games are not becoming extinct. I don't see anything like that happening. But if anything, the big AAA titles are pushing mid-tier games to up their quality.
Well, it's like define what is a mid-tier game. A mid-tier game is only a mid-tier game after we've had a chance to play the final game and we determine it's not very
Well,
good.
actually, no. I think they're talking about the AAA games that are the blockbusters.
AAA marketing budgets.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think.
But you got to realize these developers and publishers are hoping that every game they create is a AAA game.
I
And
don't
we
think
only
we're-
know that they're not until we've had a chance to
But
evaluate.
let's couch this not as a quality issue, but as a presence issue. And I think one of the problems is games are just costing more and more to develop, even if you are making a game that doesn't have the budget to kind of get it into people's eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like, if your game doesn't have television commercials or you can't buy banner ads on websites, I think that may put you into a more of a mid-tier position. Like if you're a game published by Atlas, let's say.
well, how do you look at like Demon's Souls?
Demon's Souls is the example.
Is that
Demon's
a
Souls,
AAA or is that a
Demon's Souls
B-level
was
game?
what we would call a sleeper hit.
Yeah.
Financially.
But is that a B-level game or is that a AAA?
Are we
game?
talking about quality or are we talking about presence?
talking within the
I think with-
context of Adam Sears?
Well, I
question.
was setting up something here, though, so then you throw in this thing. So I'm just curious if you're acknowledging what I said earlier or not. Because, no, Demon's Souls was an Atlas game that had very little marketing, and it was a sleeper hit. It's not the world's best-selling game by any stretch of the imagination.
So based upon your argument of marketing dollars, you would say that was a B-level game.
Oh, yeah. Or not, well, I'd say it's not, yeah, definitely not AAA.
No, it's mid-level, and I think that's the point we should take from it. That it's more sort of like the presence, the cachet of the franchise, if you will. And you look at Call of Duty, GTA, they have huge ads, they're out everywhere. I think that the problem is that a lot of developers are kind of getting hamstrung when they are going to this mid-level of game. Like, we're going to ship a game, and we're going to it's going to be a JRPG, and we know we're only going to sell 500,000 units worldwide, so we want to make sure all our costs are according and everything. The problem is that Nintendo and Sony and Microsoft in particular won't let them release at cheaper prices. And
It's killing a lot of publishers.
I mean,
Namco comes to mind. Look at like Enslaved. Like that to me is like the epitome of the mid-tier game. They intended to make that game a AAA game. They put a lot of money behind it. They probably spent $10 million developing the game. Totally fell on its face. Games like that are killing the industry right now. There is no middle ground, I think, is the problem. There is no way for someone to create that mid-tier game with a mid-tier budget and still make money on it. Unless you're that sleeper hit. Like
and I
Demon's
think
Souls.
it's safe to say sleeper hits are few and far between. Financial sleeper hits. Yeah, there's I think I already said Critical Darlings, but this episode. But there's those games that review well that no one buys. Okami.
Yeah.
But I think the games that sell well out of nowhere, those are Katamari Damacy, Puzzle Quest, Demon's Souls. That's about.
It's hard to think of more.
Anything else could really strike your mind?
I think that's where the online services are going to hopefully be the saviors, where they do have, even though he says sort of like, the cheap indie games, Angry Birds, Minecraft. I think Angry Birds is, that's the 99-cent sensation. That's, one that is, pile them up and ship them out and everybody buys them, and it's not the most innovative game on the history of the planet. Minecraft, however, is that retails for about $15. You can download it for free, but to get all the upgraded stuff, it's $10 or $15.
I think it actually went up.
Yeah, again, that's the way forward. I think there should be more people focusing on that and creating some quality stuff to go through XBLA, PSN, Steam, whatever, and then that cuts down on your development costs, and it is the next level. I think that's where we're going to go, where these will be the art house films, equivalent of A Room with a View or whatever, or some other merchant ivory crap, but they'll make money because they're released online. They don't have to worry about a manual distribution or giving a cut to Best Buy or EB, and then you're only going to have a dozen or so blockbusters a year who take up all the money.
His question is, are mid-tier games becoming extinct due to a lack of popularity? I would say it's not due to a lack of popularity. I think it's people being risk-averse with their money. They're spending $60. I think they place a lot more faith in these games that are marketed and advertised out the ass, although should they?
Well,
that's debatable.
You've said time and time again, it's like, how much money is Call of Duty taking out of the industry? And it's taking $1 billion every iteration out of the industry. And that's a lot of money going into one company's coffers.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys that are still just playing Modern Warfare 2, just Black Ops, and they buy like 2 or 3 games a year, and they just wait for the next Call of Duty.
They are the mid-core gamers. They'll buy Call of Duty, they'll buy Madden, they'll probably buy one other thing, whether it be GTA or
choose one action-adventure game.
Yeah, they'll get one miscellaneous game. Be like, oh,
whatever their friends tell them.
This Mortal Kombat looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, I walked into EB Games and someone picked up Quantum Theory and was like, oh, this looks awesome. Walked right up to the counter and bought it. That was those sales do happen. You know?
I think they do, but I think people overall are scared. It's $60 for a game. They want to go with the no name. They want to get a game that they know their friends are going to play. They don't want to be that isolated guy who's the only one playing the game. I think all that sort of ties into the end result.
Shane, why don't you take this next question?
I think I will.
That's a fun name to say.
This question comes from Armando Xavier Garibay. Awesome name from Facebook. Do you think Valve will finally stop working on games like Portal and Left 4 Dead and give us some info on the next Half-Life game?
That's the golden question right there. When will we get information on the next Half-Life
what
game?
is Valve going to be announcing at E3?
And Shane gets pissed about this too. I've heard him rant a little bit like, how long has it been since Half-Life 2
Well, let's just
2?
say it's not episodic gaming.
No.
And let's also say episodic gaming didn't work for anyone but Telltale.
Anybody. I don't think it worked for them either.
Did Sin Episode 2 ever come out? No.
You know what? They could release Half-Life 2 Episode 3 as a prequel to Half-Life 3. Provide, and in fact, they say pre-order it now and get this free, and then give us Half-Life 3.
Well, or what if
I would give my $60 right now to Steam.
Yes.
Or what if Episode 3 is technically the first few hours of Half-Life 3? And they're just like, and then when it starts, it says Episode 3, and people are like, oh my god!
And then everyone's boners just hit their desks.
And their coffee table shoots into the television.
The last thing Valve said is that after adding co-op to Portal, is that all their games going forward will have an online component.
Right.
And I know this goes back to the argument like, fucking Christ, don't be working on Half-Life 2 Episode 3 Deathmatch. No one fucking cares. Give us a single player game. But does this mean Alex
Co-op
Vance is going to have co-op? Or I will say the writers at Valve are very big Demon Souls fans, so maybe there could be some interesting asymmetric multiplayer kind of slid in there.
Well, I think one thing we can count on with Valve is that they do trailblaze. They come up with new ideas. They do things other people haven't done. They look at unique concepts and find a way to make them fun. I mean, but still,
give
where
us
is Episode
Half-Life
3?
No, give us Half-Life 3. I want Half-Life 3.
Because the anticipation
the
is...
new one. I want 3. Get it out there. Amalgamate the story. Use Episode 3 of Half-Life 2 as a prequel. Whatever you want to do. Get it out there. Forget Portal. Right, great. Portal's fantastic. Left 4 Dead. Right, well done. Give us fucking Half-Life 3.
But they must.
I don't know. I could really use some more Team Fortress 2 hats.
I'm going to stick this mic up your ass in a minute. I want Half-Life 3.
Well, they have to announce something at E3. They've kind of got it all out there at this point. What's left?
If Valve can bring Half-Life 3 that is as good as Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 1 was, it will rewrite the rules for FPSs, and we won't hopefully have to put up with as much shit as the Michael Bay-inspired Call of Duty games.
Hallelujah.
Amen. Yes.
Russell Booker. I like this name as well. You guys spend a lot of time talking about American and Japanese developers and their power and influence on games. I'm curious as what your opinions are regarding European developers and how they contribute to the evolution of games. Chucky Egg, Jet Set Willie.
Manic Miner, Wanted Monty Mole. I was actually on a ZX Spectrum emulator site a couple of days ago. I was just going mental playing my old stuff. But there are a bunch of really good, European developers. You look at the Witcher guys, the guys who do CD Projekt.
Yeah.
But
you look at Lionhead.
there's a lot of devs, but isn't Codemasters the only UK publisher now?
Probably, yeah. Everybody else has been
They all kinda-
amalgamated and merged.
But
and
he is asking about developers and not
Yeah.
publishers. So.
But some influence there.
So but you got to remember, who did the very first Grand Theft Auto,
DMA.
and where were DMA from?
London. I mean, the Hausers.
Scotland.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They're the Hausers, right?
Yeah.
The Wipeout
Yeah, I mean,
guys.
obviously, with an example like that, yeah, they're breaking ground. I
Yeah.
mean, and Rockstar North does it every time with every game they release. So yeah, I think they're the shining example of European development. At the same time, I think a lot of European developers are concentrated a lot more on PC games, and I think maybe that's why they're overshadowed a lot of times, because PC games don't get a lot of the airtime that console games do. So there's a lot.
PC games are still very big in Europe.
Right.
They're obviously still huge here, and I'm not hating on PC games, and we don't hate PC games here. I love PC games. But yeah, there are a lot of developers who will, and they don't have the resources. You got to look at tax incentives as well. I mean, Britain, for example, has just trashed half of its tax incentives for small developers under the Conservative government. So, there's a lot of issues that come with developing a game. But then you also look at some of the guys who are developing stuff, for XBLA, and they're working literally out of half a dozen houses. I think I think the Joe Dirt guys are actually. They're either from the UK or Europe, or but I mean, again, that was just developed and fantastic. And if wherever he's from, I think it's from Europe. Good luck to him. But the thing for me, just being being a total Brit for a moment, the Lionhead studios for me is the shining example because the way they implement that British sense of humor.
Yeah.
And that to me
well,
is
the Monty Python.
It's Python-esque, yes. Yeah. And you look at Fable 1, 2, and 3. Fable 3 a little bit, but I mean, I did my Reset blog, which was a Dungeon Keeper love letter saying I want that game back and I want it in Peter Molyneux's hands. I don't want anybody else's. And then I went back and actually managed to get Dungeon Keeper 1 and 2 working on my Windows Vista PC. And that's what I was playing at 3 o'clock this morning. I was up all night just playing Dungeon Keeper 2, having a blast with it. And that sense of humor that so many people try to implement in their games and just falls flat on their face.
And I will say, just to kind of bring this to the Molyneux and the Euro thing back, is I think a lot of people like this game called Syndicate. And the rumor is Starbreeze, who made the awesome Chronicles of Riddick, are going to be doing the new Syndicate.
Yeah.
That's the big rumor.
Starbreeze are, again, another fantastic developer. Riddick was great. Even the original Darkness game wasn't too bad. They had a couple of issues with that, but they're a great developer. Grin was looking really cool. They were looking cool until they went belly up. So, yeah, there's a lot of good European developers. I think they just don't get perhaps the love over here.
I think they're growing the fastest, but I think if I still had to rank the 3 territories as far as breaking ground, I think Europe would probably still be in last to the U.S. and Japan. Would everyone else agree with that, or?
But I feel like Japan's falling.
Yeah,
I would
honestly,
say Japan is falling fast.
I would say probably Europe and Japan are neck and neck because I'm an unabashed not a fan of Japanese games, and when I see stuff like El Shaddai, which looks like a bunch of wank, really,
a year ago you would have told us it was the greatest.
No,
game
honestly, I have never told anybody this is the greatest game ever. I actually said when I was working at that company there was a pile of wank. I think the US kind of leads the way right now, but Europe is certainly neck and neck with Japan in my opinion. Let the hating commence.
By decree of the All-Father, I may not send you to Niflheim. One way or another, I will go. You think you are the only one who desires justice? It is my sworn duty to see all, yet I was frozen at my post. You are not to blame for this, Heimdall. The Jotun took Sif from us. I will go to Niflheim. So be it. But I will not send you.
All right, so that's it for episode 158. I do apologize. I am under the scourge of allergies this week. I feel like I fought through it okay. It didn't sound too god-awful. A couple housekeeping things to get to. I know I've talked about people interning for us on the show. They've actually extended the deadline. Unfortunately, the official process of trying to apply for internship with us is closed, but we can take applications still. And to do that, you're going to have to send an email to GameTrailersInterns@gmail.com. Now keep in mind, you have to get college credit for this, and you have to be either a junior or a senior. We're looking for folks to come in here for the summertime and hang out with us through the hazy days of summer. So
we're in Santa Monica, and it's unpaid.
It is unpaid. We're in Los Angeles. You're going to have to come here. You're going to have to get your own place. I may let you crash on my couch for a night if you get too drunk, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You must look very, very pretty, or Brooks will not hit on you.
Ignore Marcus.
I hit on anything pretty much at this point.
And a final note, we do have some codes to give away on Twitter this weekend. They are for the Xbox 360 version of Call of Duty Black Ops Escalation. I did play that a little bit last night. Maybe we'll talk about that on next week's show. Several new maps, a brand new Grindhouse zombie mode. You're going to have to make sure that you follow us on Twitter. We will not give any codes away to anyone who doesn't. So follow us on Twitter. You get the codes. You play to game. We're all happy. And that's it for this week, folks. Invisible Walls is up and out.